Chapter 18, Body Fluids and Circulation. You have learned that all living organisms have to be provided with nutrients, O2 and other essential substances. Also, the waste or harmful substances produced have to be removed continuously for healthy functioning of tissues. It is therefore essential to have efficient mechanism for the movement of these substances to the cells and from the cells. Different groups of animals have evolved different methods for this transport. Simple organisms like sponges and coelenteраtes circulate water from their surroundings through their body cavities to facilitate the cells to exchange these substances. More complex organisms use special fluids within their bodies to transport such materials. Blood is the most commonly used body fluid by most of the higher organisms, including humans, for this purpose. Another body fluid, lymph, also help in transport of certain substances. In this chapter, you will learn about the composition and properties of blood and lymph tissue fluid, and mechanism of circulation of blood is also explained here. Now, blood. Blood is special connective tissues consisting of fluid matrix, plasma, and form elements. Plasma. Plasma is straw colored, viscous fluid constituting nearly 55% of the blood. 90 to 92% of plasma is water, and proteins contribute 6 to 8% of it. Fibrinogen, globulins, and albumins are the major protein. Fibrinogen, globulins, and albumins are major proteins having functions. Fibrinogens are needed for clotting or coagulation of blood. Globulins primarily are involved in defense mechanism of the body, and albumins help in osmotic balance. GD, FC, GD, and AO. Plasma also contain a small amount of minerals like sodium, calcium, magnesium, and bicarbonate, chloride, etc. Glucose, amino acid, lipids are also present in plasma as they are always in transit in body. Factors for coagulation or clotting of blood are also present in plasma in an inactive form. Plasma without the clotting factor is called serum. Now, form elements, erythrocytes, leukocytes, and platelet are collectively called form elements, and they constitute nearly 45% of the blood. Erythrocytes or red blood cells, RBCs, are most abundant of all the cells in blood. Healthy adult men, on an average, 5 millions to 5.5 millions of RBC per millimeter cube of blood. RBCs are formed in red bone marrow in adults. RBCs are divided of nucleus in most of them and are biconcave in shape. Most of the mammals में nucleus नहीं होता. They have red colored iron containing complex protein called hemoglobin. Hence the color and name of these cells. A healthy individual has 12 to 16 grams of hemoglobin in every 100 ml of blood. These molecules play a significant role in transport of respiratory gases. RBCs have average lifespan of 120 days, after which they are destroyed in spleen, graveyard of RBCs. Leukocytes are also known as white blood cells as they are colorless due to lack of hemoglobin. They are nucleated and relatively lesser in number, which averages 6,000 to 8,000 per millimeter cube of blood. Leukocytes are generally short-lived. We have two main categories of WBCs: granulocytes and agranulocytes. Neutrophils, eosinophils, and basophils are different types of granulocytes, while lymphocytes and monocytes are agranulocytes. ठीक है. Neutrophils are the most abundant cells, 60 to 65% of total WBCs, and basophils are at least 0.5 to 1% among them. Neutrophils and monocytes 6 to 8% are phagocytic cells which destroy foreign organisms entering the body. Basophils secrete histamine, serotonin, heparin, etc. and are involved in inflammatory reactions. Eosinophils 2 to 3% raises infection and also associated with the allergic reaction. Lymphocyte 20 to 25% are of two major types, both B and T forms. Both B and T lymphocytes are responsible for immune response of the body. Platelets, also called thrombocytes, are cell fragments produced from megakaryotes, special cells in the bone marrow. Blood normally contains 150,000 to 350,000 platelets. Platelets can release a variety of substances, most of which are involved in coagulation or clotting of blood. A reduction in their number can lead to clotting disorders, which will lead to excessive loss of blood from the body. ठीक है. प्लेटलेट की संख्या डिपेंड करता है इसका क्लॉटिंग क्या काम करता है. प्लेटलेट्स कोगुलेशन और क्लॉटिंग का काम करता है. Platelets are also called thrombocytes, are cell fragments produced from megakaryotes, special cells in bone marrow. Blood normally contains 150,000 to 350,000 platelets per millimeter cube. Platelets can release a variety of substances, most of which are involved in coagulation or clotting of blood. A reduction in their number can lead to clotting disorders, which will lead to excessive loss of blood from the body. Blood groups, as you know, blood of human beings differ in certain aspects, though it appears to be similar. Various types of grouping of blood has been done. Two such grouping, the ABO and RH, are widely used all over the world. ABO grouping is based on the presence or absence of two surface antigens, chemicals that can induce immune response on the RBCs, namely A and B. Similarly, the plasma of different individuals contain two natural antibodies, proteins produced in response to antigens. The distribution of antigens and antibodies in the four groups of blood A, P, and AB and O are given in table. You probably know that during blood transfusion, any blood cannot be used. The blood of donor has to be carefully matched with the blood of recipient before any blood transfusion to avoid severe problem of clumping, destruction of RBC. डोनर कंपेटेबिलिटी दिखाई गई है. ठीक है, मतलब जो ब्लड ग्रुप ए है, एंटीजन ए रहेगा, एंटीबॉडीज बी. डोनर्स ग्रुप ए और ओ, बी में एंटीजन बी, एंटीबॉडीज ए. डोनर्स ग्रुप ए बी और ओ. ब्लड ग्रुप ए बी में एंटीजन्स ए और बी रहेंगे, एंटीबॉडीज नहीं होती. और डोनर्स ग्रुप ए बी और ओ, क्योंकि ए बी यूनिवर्सल रेसिपिएंट है. उसके बाद ब्लड ग्रुप ओ, इस पर कोई एंटीजन नहीं रहेगा लेकिन एंटीबॉडी दो रहेगी, एंटीबॉडी ए और एंटीबॉडी बी. डोनर्स ग्रुप ओ. From the above mentioned table, it is evident that group O blood group can be donated to person with any other blood groups, and hence O group individuals are called universal donors. Person with AB group can accept blood from person with AB as well as other groups of blood. Therefore, such persons are called universal recipient. Now, RH grouping. Another antigen, RH antigen, similar to one present in rhesus monkeys. Hence, RH is also observed on surface of RBCs of majority nearly 80% of humans. Such individuals are called Rh positive, and those in whom this antigen is absent are called Rh negative. An Rh negative person, if exposed to Rh positive blood, will form specific antibodies against the Rh antigens. Therefore, the Rh group should also be matched before transfusion. A special case of Rh incompatibility mismatching has been observed between Rh negative blood of pregnant mother with Rh positive blood of fetus. Rh antigens of the fetus do not get exposed to Rh negative blood of mother in the first pregnancy, as the two bloods are well separated by placenta. However, during the delivery of the first child, there is possibility of exposure of maternal blood to small amounts of Rh positive blood from fetus. In such cases, the mother start preparing antibodies against Rh antigen in her blood. In case of her subsequent pregnancies, the Rh antibodies from the mother, Rh negative, can leak into the blood of fetus, Rh positive, and destroy the fetal RBCs. This could be fatal to the fetus or cause severe anemia, jaundice to the baby. Anemia or jaundice, AJ. This condition is called erythroblastosis fetalis. This can be avoided by administering anti-RH antibodies to the mother immediately after delivery of the first child. रोगम इंजेक्शन दिया जाता है. Coagulation of blood. You know that when you cut your finger or hurt yourself, your wound does not continue to bleed for a long time. Usually the blood stops flowing after some time. Do you know why? Blood exhibit coagulation or clotting in response to injury or trauma. This is a mechanism to prevent excessive loss of blood from the body. You would have observed dark reddish brown scum formed at the site of cut or injury over a period of time. It is clot or coagulum formed mainly of network of threads called fibrins, in which dead and damaged form elements of blood are trapped. Fibrins are formed from conversion of inactive fibrinogen in the plasma by enzyme thrombin. Thrombins in turn are formed from another inactive substance present in plasma called prothrombin. An enzyme complex thrombokinase is required for the above reaction. This complex is formed by a series of link enzyme reactions cascade process involving a number of factors present in plasma in an inactive state. An injury or trauma stimulates the platelets in blood to release a certain factors which activate the mechanism of coagulation. Certain factors released by the tissues at the site of injury also can initiate coagulation. Calcium ions play a very important role in clotting. Now, lymph. As the blood passes through the capillaries in tissues, some water along with many small water-soluble substances move out into the spaces between the cells of tissues, leaving the larger proteins and most of the form elements in blood vessels. This fluid released out is called interstitial fluid or tissue fluid. It has the same mineral distribution as that in plasma. Exchange of nutrient, gases, etc. between the blood and the cells always occur through this fluid. An elaborate network of vessels called the lymphatic system collect this fluid and drains it back to the major veins. The fluid present in the lymphatic system is called lymph. Lymph is colorless fluid containing specialized lymphocytes which are responsible for immune response of the body. Lymph is also an important carrier for nutrients and hormones, etc. Fats are absorbed through lymph in the lacteals present in the intestinal villi. Circulatory pathway. The circulatory patterns are of two types: open or closed. Open circulatory system is present in arthropods and mollusca, OMA, in which blood pumped by heart passes through the large vessels into open spaces or body cavities called sinuses. Annelids and chordates of closed circulatory system, ACC, in which the blood pumped by heart is always circulated through closed network of blood vessels. This pattern is considered to be more advantageous as the flow of fluid can be more precisely regulated. All vertebrates possess muscular chamber heart. Fishes have two-chamber heart with atrium and ventricle. Amphibians and reptiles, except crocodiles, have three-chamber heart with two atria and single ventricle, whereas crocodiles, birds, and mammals possess four-chamber heart with two atria and two ventricles. In fishes, the heart pumps out deoxygenated blood, which is oxygenated by the gills and supplied to the body parts, from where deoxygenated blood is returned to the heart, single circulation. In amphibians and reptiles, left atrium receives oxygenated blood from the gills, lungs, and skin, and right atrium gets the deoxygenated blood from other body parts. However, they get mixed up in single ventricle, which pumps out mixed blood in complete double circulation. In birds and mammals, oxygenated and deoxygenated blood are received by left and right arteria, respectively, through the ventricles of same site. Again, in birds and mammals, oxygenated and deoxygenated blood received by the left and right arteria respectively pass on the ventricles of same site. The ventricles pump it out without any mixing up. That is, the two separate circulatory pathways are present in these organisms, and these animals have double circulation. Let us study the human circulatory system. Human circulatory system, also called blood vascular system, consists of muscular chamber heart, the network of close branching blood vessels and blood, the fluid which is circulated. Heart, the mesodermal derived organ, is situated in the thoracic cavity in between the two lungs, slightly tilted to the left. It has signs of clenched fist. It has size of clenched fist. It is protected by double wall membranous back pericardium, enclosing the pericardial fluid. Our heart has four chambers, two relatively small upper chambers called atria, and two larger lower chambers called ventricles. A thin muscular wall called the interarterial septum separates the right and left arteria, whereas the thick wall, the interventricular septum, separates the left and right ventricle. The atrium and ventricle of the same side are separated by thick fibrous tissue. The atrium and ventricle of same side are separated by thick fibrous tissue called atrioventricular septum. However, each of these septa are provided with the opening through which two chambers of same side are connected. The opening between right atrium and right ventricle is guarded by a wall form of three muscular flaps or cups, the tricuspid wall, whereas bicuspid or mitral valve guards the opening between left atrium and left ventricle. The opening of right and left ventricle into the pulmonary artery and aorta respectively are provided with similar walls. The walls in the heart allow the flow of blood only in the one direction, that is from atria to ventricles and from ventricles to pulmonary artery or aorta. These walls prevent any backward flow. The entire heart is made of cardiac muscles. The walls of ventricles are much thicker than that of atria. A specialized cardiac musculature called nodal tissue is also distributed in the heart. A patch of this tissue is present in the right upper corner of right atrium called the sinoatrial node, SA node. Another mass of this tissue is seen in lower left corner of right atrium close to atrioventricular septum called the atrioventricular node, AV node. A bundle of nodal fibers, atrioventricular bundle, AV bundle, continues from the AV node which passes through the atrioventricular septa to emerge on the top of interventricular septum and immediately divides into right and left bundle. These branches gives rise to minute fibers throughout the ventricular musculature of respective side and are called Purkinje fibers. The nodal musculature has the ability to generate action potential without any external stimuli. It is auto-excitable. However, the number of action potential that could be generated in a minute vary at different parts of the nodal system. The SNOT can generate the maximum number of action potential, that is 70 to 75 per minute, and is responsible for initiating and maintaining the rhythmic contractile activity of the heart. Therefore, it is called as pacemaker. Our heart normally beats 70 to 75 times in a minute, average 72 beats per minute. Cardiac cycle. How does the heart function? Let us take a look. To begin with, all the four chambers of heart in relaxed state, they are in joint diastole. As the tricuspid and bicuspid walls are open, blood from pulmonary veins and vena cava flows into left and right ventricle, respectively through the left and right arteria. The similar walls are closed at this stage. The AC node now generates an action potential which stimulates both the atria to undergo simultaneous contraction, the atrial systole. This increases the flow of blood into ventricles by about 30%. The action potential is conducted to the ventricular side by AV node and AV bundle. From a bundle of his transmits it through entire ventricular musculature. This causes the ventricular muscles to contract, ventricular systole, and the artery undergo relaxation diastole, coinciding with ventricular systole. Ventricular systole increases the ventricular pressure, causing the closure of tricuspid and bicuspid valves due to attempted black flow of blood into the atria. As the ventricular pressure increases further, the similar valves guarding the pulmonary artery right side and the aorta left side are forced open, allowing the blood in the ventricles to flow through these vessels into the circulatory pathways. The ventricles now relax, ventricular diastole, and the ventricular pressure falls, causing the closure of seminal valves, which prevents the backflow of blood into the ventricles. As the ventricular pressure declines further, the tricuspid and bicuspid valves are pushed open by the pressure in the atria exerted by the blood, which was being emptied into them by the veins. The blood now once again moves freely to the ventricles. The ventricles and artery are now again in relaxed joint diastole status as earlier. Soon the SA node can generate new action potential and events described above are repeated in that sequence and the process continues. This sequential event in the heart, which is cyclically repeated, is called cardiac cycle and consists of systole and diastole of both the artery and ventricles. As mentioned earlier, the heart beats 72 times per minute. That is, many cardiac cycles are performed per minute. From this, it could be deduced that duration of cardiac cycle is 0.8 seconds. During cardiac cycle, each ventricle pumps out approximately 70 ml of blood, which is called stroke volume. The stroke volume multiplied by the heart rate number of beats per minute gives the cardiac output. Therefore, the cardiac output can be defined as volume of blood pumped out by each ventricle per minute and averages 5000 ml or 5 liters in a healthy individual. The body has ability to alter the stroke volume as well as heart rate and thereby the cardiac output. For example, the cardiac output of athlete will be much higher than that of ordinary man. During each cardiac cycle, two prominent sounds are produced, which can be easily heard through a stethoscope. The first heart sound is love is associated with the closure of tricuspid and bicuspid valves, where the second heart sound dub is associated with the closure of seminal valves. These sounds are of clinical diagnostic significance. Electrocardiography ECG. You are probably familiar with the scenes from typical hospital television. A patient is hooked up monitoring machine that shows voltage traces on a screen make the sounds beep 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 as the patient goes into cardiac arrest. This type of machine electrocardiograph is used to obtain electrocardiogram ECG. ECG is a graphical representation of the electrical activity of the heart during cardiac cycle. To obtain standard ECG as shown in figure 18.3, a patient is connected to the machine with three electrical leads, one to each wrist and to the left ankle, that continuously monitor the heart activity. For a detailed evaluation of heart functions, multiple leads are attached to chest region. Here, we will talk only about standard ECG. Each peak in ECG is identified with a letter from P to T that correspond to specific electrical activity of the heart. सबसे important part है ये हर साल क्वेश्चन इससे पूछा जाता है. The P wave represent the electrical excitation or depolarization of the atria, which leads to contraction of both the atria. ठीक है, मतलब P सबसे स्टार्टिंग हुई तो कॉन्ट्रैक्शन होगा आर्ट्रिया का, तो तुम इसे पी ए याद कर सकते हो कि पी वेव दिख जाए तो पी सी ए कर सकते हो कि कॉन्ट्रैक्शन होगा आर्ट्रिया का. पी सी ए प्रियंका चोपड़ा एक्ट्रेस पी सी ए. पी वेव दिखा तो कॉन्ट्रैक्शन होगा किसका, आर्ट्रिया का, पी सी ए. उसके बाद द क्यू आर एक्स कॉम्प्लेक्स represent the depolarization of ventricles, which initiates ventricular contraction. The contraction starts shortly after Q and marks the beginning of systole. और क्यू आर एस दिख जाए तो समझ जाना कि तो क्यू आर एस मतलब रुपीज से तुमने क्या खरीदा, तुमने खरीदी वेंट्रिकल्स की वेन. ठीक है, उसका कॉन्ट्रैक्शन होगा. द कॉन्ट्रैक्शन स्टार्ट शॉर्टली आफ्टर क्यू एंड मार्क्स द बिगिनिंग ऑफ सिस्टोल. द टी वेव रिप्रेजेंट द वेंट्रिकल from excited to normal state repolarization. The end of T wave marks the end of systole. Obviously, by counting the number of QRS complexes that occur in a given time period, one can determine heartbeat rate of individual. Since the ECG obtained from different individuals have roughly the same shape for given lead configuration, any deviation from this shape indicates possible abnormality or disease. Hence, it is of great clinical significance. Double circulation. The blood flows strictly by fixed route through blood vessels, the arteries and veins. Basically, each artery vein consists of three layers: the inner lining of ischiumous endothelium, the tunica intima, a middle layer of smooth muscles and elastic fiber tunica media, and an external layer of fibrous connective tissue with collagen fibers, the tunica externa. The tunica media is comparatively thin in veins. As mentioned earlier, blood pumped by right ventricle enters the pulmonary artery, where the left ventricle pumps blood into the aorta. The deoxygenated blood pumping into the pulmonary artery is passed onto the lungs, from where the oxygenated blood is carried by pulmonary veins into left atrium. This pathway constitutes the pulmonary circulation. The oxygenated blood entering the aorta is carried by a network of arteries, arterioles, and capillaries to the tissues, from where the deoxygenated blood is collected by system of venules, veins, and vena cava and emptied into right atrium. This is systematic circulation. The systematic circulation provides nutrients, O2, and other essential substances to the tissues and takes CO2 and other harmful substances away for elimination. A unique vascular connection exists between the digestive tract and liver called hepatic portal system. The hepatic portal vein carries blood from intestine to liver before it is delivered to systematic circulation. A special coronary system of blood vessels is present in our body exclusively for the circulation of blood to and from the cardiac musculature. Regulation of cardiac activity. Normal activities of the heart are regulated intrinsically, that is auto-regulated by a specialized muscle nodal tissue, and the heart is called myogenic. A special neural center in the medulla oblongata can moderate the cardiac function through autonomic nervous system ANS. Neural signal through the sympathetic nerves part of ANS can increase the rate of heartbeat, the extent of ventricular contraction, and thereby the cardiac output. On the other hand, parasympathetic neural signals, another component of ANS, decrease the rate of heartbeat, speed of conduction of action potential, and thereby the cardiac output. And adrenal medullary hormones can also increase the cardiac output. Now, disorders of circulatory system. High blood pressure, hypertension. Hypertension is term for blood pressure that is higher than normal, 120 by 80. In this measurement, 120 mmHg millimeters of mercury pressure is systolic or pumping pressure, and 80 mmHg is diastolic or resting pressure. Agar if repeated checks of blood of individual is 140 or 90 or higher, it shows hypertension. Higher blood pressure leads to heart disease and also affects vital organs like brain and kidney. Coronary artery disease (CAD). Coronary artery disease, often referred to as atherosclerosis, affect the vessels that supply blood to the heart muscle. It is caused by deposition of calcium, fat, cholesterol, fibrous tissue, which makes the lumen of arteries narrower. Angina. It is also called as angina pectoris. A symptom of acute chest pain appears when no enough oxygen is reaching the heart muscle. Angina can occur in men and women of any age, but it is more common among the middle age and elderly. It occurs due to conditions that affect the blood flow. Now, heart failure. Heart failure means the state of heart when it is not pumping blood effectively enough to meet the needs of the body. It is sometimes called congestive heart failure because congestion of lung is one of the main symptoms of this disease. Heart failure is not same as cardiac arrest when the heart stops beating, or heart attack when the heart muscle is suddenly damaged by inadequate blood supply. Summary. Vertebrates circulate blood, fluid, connective tissue in their body to transport essential substances to the cells and to carry waste substances from here. Another fluid, lymph tissue fluid, is also used for transport of certain substances. Body comprises of fluid matrix, plasma, and form elements. Red blood cells, RBC, erythrocytes, or white blood cell, WBC, leukocytes, and platelets, thrombocytes constitute the form elements. Blood of humans are grouped into A, B, AB, and O systems based on the presence or absence of two surface antigens. A, B on the RBCs. Another blood grouping is also done based on presence or absence of another antigen called rhesus factor Rh on the surface of RBCs. The space between cells in the tissue contain a fluid derived from blood called tissue fluid. The fluid called lymph is also almost similar to blood except for the protein contained in the form elements. All vertebrates and few invertebrates have a closed circulatory system. Our circulatory system consists of muscular pumping organ heart, a network of vessels in the fluid blood. Heart has two arteries and two ventricles. Cardiac musculature is auto-excitable. Sinoatrial node SA node can generate maximum number of action potential per minute, 70 to 75 per minute, and therefore it is the phase of activities of the heart when it is called pacemaker. The action potential causes the artery and the ventricles to undergo contraction systole followed by the relaxation diastole. The systole forces the blood to move from the artery to ventricles into pulmonary artery or aorta. The cardiac cycle is formed by sequential events in the heart which is cyclically repeated and is called a cardiac cycle. A healthy person shows 72 such cycle per minute. About 70 ml of blood is pumped out by each ventricle during a cardiac cycle and is called stroke or beat volume. Volume of the blood pumped out by each ventricle of heart per minute is called cardiac output and is equal to product of stroke volume and heart rate approximately 5 liters. The electrical activity of heart can be recorded from the body surface by using electrocardiograph, and the recording is called electrocardiogram ECG, which is of clinical importance. We have complete double circulation, that is two separate pathways, namely pulmonary and systematic, are present. The pulmonary circulation is started by the pumping of deoxygenated blood by the right ventricles, which is carried to the lungs, where it is oxygenated and returned to the left atrium. The systematic circulation starts with the pumping of oxygenated blood by left ventricle to the aorta, which is carried to all the body tissues, and deoxygenated blood from there is collected by veins and returned to right atrium. Though the heart is unacceptable, its functions can be moderated by neural and hormonal mechanism.